There is a quiet shift taking place in the emotional landscape of every Pisces right now. You may not have a name for it yet. You may not even be fully aware that it is happening. But if you pause for a moment and turn your attention inward, you will feel it. A stirring, a softening, a subtle rearrangement of the emotional furniture you have been living with for years. This is not a crisis. It is not a breakdown. It is something far more significant than either of those things. It is the beginning of a new emotional phase, and for Pisces, emotional phases are not trivial shifts in mood or temporary changes in outlook. They are tectonic movements of the soul. They reshape everything. How you love, how you grieve, how you hope, how you heal. And the one that is arriving now carries more transformative potential than anything you have experienced in a very long time. Sign 1. The first clear sign that you are entering this new emotional phase is a change in what moves you to tears. You have always been someone who cries easily, and there is no shame in that. Tears are the language of the soul, and your soul is more fluent in that language than most. But lately, the things that trigger your tears have shifted. Where you once cried primarily from pain or sadness or the accumulated weight of life's disappointments, you are now finding yourself moved to tears by beauty, by unexpected kindness, by the sight of sunlight filtering through leaves in a particular way, by a memory that rises up not with the sting of loss but with the warmth of gratitude. This shift in your emotional triggers is profoundly significant. It tells you that something is healing at the deepest level of your being. The wellspring of your tears, which for years may have been fed primarily by suffering, is now being nourished by something else entirely. Joy, appreciation, a fierce, almost overwhelming love for the simple fact of being alive. This does not mean that sadness has disappeared from your life. It means that sadness is no longer the dominant note. The emotional symphony playing inside you is being reorchestrated, and the melody that is emerging is richer, more complex, more beautiful than anything that came before. Pay attention to these moments of unexpected emotion. They are not signs of weakness or instability. They are signs of transformation. Each tear shed in the presence of beauty is a release of old pain making room for new joy. Each moment of being moved by something simple and pure is evidence that your heart is not closing down with age. It is opening up, wider than it has ever been, more receptive than you ever thought possible. And this opening, this expansion of your emotional capacity, is the doorway through which everything else in this new phase will enter. Sign 2. The second sign is a growing inability to tolerate inauthenticity, both in yourself and in others. Situations that you once navigated with polite detachment now feel unbearable. Conversations that stay on the surface when something deeper needs to be said leave you physically uncomfortable. Social obligations that require you to smile when you want to scream, to agree when you want to object, to perform warmth when you feel nothing. These obligations are becoming harder and harder to fulfill. This is not because you are becoming antisocial or difficult. It is because your emotional system is upgrading, and the new system simply cannot process dishonesty the way the old one could. Inauthenticity now registers in your body as a kind of allergic reaction. You feel it in your stomach, in your throat, in the tension that creeps into your shoulders when you are being anything less than completely real. This intolerance for falsehood is a gift, even though it may not feel like one right now. It is forcing you to make choices that align with who you truly are rather than who you have been pretending to be. It is pushing you toward relationships that can withstand the weight of honesty and away from those that cannot. It is stripping away the comfortable fictions that have padded your life and exposing the raw, beautiful truth underneath. The discomfort you feel in the presence of inauthenticity is your soul's way of saying, "We are done with this. We have spent enough time playing roles that do not fit. From now on, we speak the truth or we do not speak at all." This is a radical stance, and it will change the landscape of your social life. Some connections will deepen beyond anything you thought possible. Others will fall away. And while the falling away may be painful, what remains will be genuine. And genuine connection, for Pisces, is worth more than 1,000 comfortable pretenses. Sign 3. The third sign of this new emotional phase is a dramatic increase in the vividness of your inner life. Your dreams are becoming more detailed, more symbolic, more insistent in their messaging. Your daydreams are taking on a quality that borders on visionary. Memories are surfacing that you had completely forgotten, arriving unbidden and carrying messages that feel urgent and important. This intensification of your inner world is not random. It is the result of an emotional recalibration that is occurring at the deepest level of your psyche. Old emotional patterns that have been running in the background, unexamined and unchallenged for decades, are being brought to the surface for review. Your subconscious mind is essentially cleaning house, and the process is generating a tremendous amount of psychological material that is spilling over into your conscious experience. Do not be alarmed by this. Do not try to suppress it or speed it up. Simply observe. Watch the dreams. Follow the memories. Pay attention to the images and feelings that arise during your quiet moments. They are showing you something important about who you have been and who you are becoming. They are the visual language of your soul's transformation, and they deserve your attention and respect. Some of what surfaces may be uncomfortable. Old wounds that you thought had healed. Old fears that you thought you had outgrown. Old desires that you thought you had abandoned. Let them come. They are not returning to haunt you. They are returning to be completed, to be fully felt and fully released, so that they no longer occupy space in your emotional landscape. And as they release, as each old pattern is acknowledged and let go, you will feel lighter, freer, more available for the new emotional experiences that are waiting to take their place. Sign 4. The fourth sign is a change in your relationship with nostalgia. Pisces has always been prone to looking backward, to living partially in the past, to finding comfort in memories that glow with the soft light of retrospective affection. And while there is nothing wrong with appreciating the past, there is a difference between appreciation and attachment, between honoring where you have been and refusing to leave. Until recently, your nostalgia may have been tinged with longing, a wish that things could be the way they were, a desire to return to simpler times, gentler moments, relationships that have since changed or ended. But something is shifting in this pattern. The longing is fading. The past is no longer pulling you backward with the same gravitational force. Instead, you are finding that you can visit memories without getting stuck in them. You can appreciate what was without grieving its passing. You can hold the beauty of your history in one hand while reaching toward the future with the other. This change in your relationship with nostalgia is one of the most liberating aspects of this new emotional phase. It frees up enormous amounts of energy that were previously devoted to maintaining a connection with what is gone. And that freed energy is now available for the present, for the people who are here now, for the opportunities that exist now, for the life that is happening now in real time, not in the golden haze of memory. You are not losing your past, Pisces. You are gaining the ability to carry it lightly, to let it inform your present without dictating it, to draw wisdom from your experiences without being chained to them. And in that lightness, there is a quality of freedom that you may not have felt in decades. If what you're hearing feels accurate, imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Sign 5. The fifth sign is a deepening of your compassion that extends beyond people to encompass the entire living world. You have always felt connected to nature, to animals, to the rhythms of the earth. But this connection is intensifying in a way that feels almost overwhelming at times. The sight of a bird building a nest can fill you with a tenderness so acute it borders on physical pain. The sound of rain on a roof can bring you to a state of peace so deep it feels like meditation. A walk through a garden can feel like a conversation with something ancient and wise. This deepening connection with the natural world is not separate from your emotional transformation. It is a central part of it. As your emotional capacity expands, so does your ability to feel connection with everything around you. The boundaries between yourself and the world are becoming more permeable. Not in a way that makes you vulnerable, but in a way that makes you alive. Truly, deeply, vibrantly alive. This expanded compassion is also changing how you relate to suffering, both your own and others. Where you once absorbed suffering like a sponge, now you are learning to hold it like water in cupped hands. You feel it completely, honor its reality, and then let it flow through you rather than accumulate inside you. This is perhaps the most important skill a Pisces can develop, and the fact that it is emerging now in this new emotional phase is no accident. It is the natural result of decades of emotional experience, finally crystallizing into wisdom. Sign 6. The sixth sign manifests in the way you process endings. Something has shifted in your relationship with finality, with closure, with the inevitable conclusions that punctuate every life. Where endings once felt like losses, they are beginning to feel like completions. The distinction is subtle but enormously important. A loss diminishes you. A completion fulfills you. A loss leaves you grasping for what is gone. A completion allows you to set it down with gratitude and turn your attention to what comes next. This new way of experiencing endings is showing up everywhere. In the way you say goodbye to people with warmth rather than desperation. In the way you close chapters of your life with acceptance rather than resistance. In the way you relate to the passage of time itself, with appreciation rather than dread. This is not indifference. Far from it. You feel endings more deeply than you ever have. But you feel them differently. There is a sweetness mixed in with the sadness now, an understanding that nothing truly ends, it only transforms. That the love you shared does not disappear when a relationship changes. That the joy you experience does not evaporate when circumstances shift. That everything you have ever felt, everything you have ever been, lives on in the fabric of your being, woven into the person you are becoming. This relationship with endings is one of the most precious gifts of emotional maturity. It cannot be taught or explained or shortcut. It can only be earned through the lived experience of surviving endings that you thought would destroy you and discovering that they did not. They changed you. They reshaped you. But they did not destroy you. And that knowledge, that deep experiential knowledge, is what allows you to meet future endings with grace rather than terror. Sign 7. The seventh sign is a shift in how you experience silence. For much of your life, silence may have been uncomfortable. It gave your mind too much space to wander and to worry, too much room for the anxious thoughts that Pisces is particularly susceptible to. You may have filled silence with music, with conversation, with the background noise of television or radio, anything to keep the quiet at bay. But now, silence is becoming your ally. You are discovering that there is a difference between empty silence and full silence. Empty silence is the absence of sound. Full silence is the presence of everything else. The hum of your own existence. The subtle vibrations of life happening all around you. The quiet voice of your own intuition, which can only be heard when the world stops talking. This newfound comfort with silence is changing the texture of your daily life. Mornings are becoming sacred spaces rather than anxious launch pads. Evenings are becoming opportunities for reflection rather than numbing routines. Even the moments between activities, the waiting rooms, the long drives, the sleepless stretches of night, these are becoming rich with a quality of awareness that was previously drowned out by noise. In this silence, you are meeting yourself in a new way. Not the chattering, anxious self that lives on the surface, but the deep, calm, ancient self that exists beneath all the noise. And that self has things to tell you. Things about who you are, what you need, where you are going. Things that can only be communicated in the language of silence. Learning to listen to that language is one of the hallmarks of the emotional phase you are entering. And as your fluency grows, so will your confidence, your clarity, and your sense of inner peace. Some people watch. Others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting. It's about moving. Sign 8. The 8th sign is a transformation in how you relate to fear. Fear has been a constant companion for Pisces, whispering warnings about all the things that could go wrong, all the ways you could be hurt, all the reasons to stay small and safe and hidden. And you have listened to that companion for a long time, perhaps too long. But in this new emotional phase, your relationship with fear is fundamentally changing. You are not becoming fearless, that would be dangerous. You are becoming fear-aware. There is a vast difference between the two. A fearless person charges ahead without considering consequences. A fear-aware person feels the fear, acknowledges it, understands what it is trying to protect, and then makes a conscious choice about whether to obey it or override it. This shift from being controlled by fear to being informed by fear is one of the most significant emotional developments you have ever experienced. It means that fear no longer has veto power over your decisions. It gets a voice but not a vote. You can feel afraid and still move forward. You can recognize the warning without accepting the limitation. You can thank your fear for its concern and then proceed to do the thing it was trying to prevent, because your wisdom now recognizes that the thing on the other side of fear is almost always growth. This new relationship with fear is opening doors that have been sealed shut for years. conversations you were afraid to have, boundaries you were afraid to set, dreams you were afraid to pursue, creative expressions you were afraid to share. Each time you walk through one of these previously locked doors, your confidence grows. And with that confidence comes a kind of emotional freedom that is unlike anything you have experienced before. The freedom to feel everything without being controlled by anything. Sign 9. The ninth sign of this new emotional phase shows up in the quality of your gratitude. Gratitude is a word that gets thrown around so casually these days that it has nearly lost its meaning. People keep gratitude journals and recite gratitude mantras and post gratitude quotes on their walls, and much of it remains purely intellectual, a thought exercise with no emotional depth. But the gratitude that is emerging in you right now is not intellectual. It is visceral. It is the kind of gratitude that grabs you by the heart and squeezes until you cannot breathe. The kind that makes you stop in the middle of an ordinary moment and feel, with every cell of your being, the extraordinary miracle of being alive. This gratitude is not selective. It does not limit itself to the obviously good things in your life. It extends to the difficult things as well. The struggles that strengthened you, the losses that deepened you, the mistakes that taught you, the pain that paradoxically opened your heart to levels of compassion you could not have reached any other way. This all-encompassing gratitude is a sign of profound emotional maturity. It indicates that you have moved beyond the simplistic division of experiences into good and bad, and into a more nuanced understanding where every experience, regardless of how it felt at the time, contributed to the person you are today. And that person, flawed and fearful and magnificent, is worthy of your own gratitude. You have done well, Pisces, better than you give yourself credit for. And the fact that you can now feel grateful for the totality of your journey, not just the easy parts, tells you that the emotional phase you are entering is one of deep, abiding peace. Sign 10. The 10th and final sign brings us to the heart of what this new emotional phase is really about. It is a sign so simple that you might easily overlook it, and yet it is the most important of all. You are beginning to feel at home inside your own skin. For a Pisces, this is revolutionary. You have spent your entire life feeling slightly displaced, as though you were visiting this world from somewhere else and never quite found your footing. The physical world felt too harsh, too loud, too fast. Other people's emotions crashed into your own, making it impossible to know where you ended and they began. Your own body felt like a costume that did not quite fit, a physical container that could never adequately house the vastness of your inner world. But now, slowly, that displacement is dissolving. You are settling into yourself the way a river settles into its banks after a flood. The water is still powerful, still deep, still capable of tremendous force. But it is contained, directed, at peace with its own nature. You are finding comfort in your own company. You are feeling the solidity of your own presence. You are experiencing moments where body and soul are so perfectly aligned that you forget there was ever a separation between them. These moments of being at home in yourself are the foundation upon which everything else in this new emotional phase will be built. Because when you are at home in yourself, you no longer need to seek refuge in others, in substances, in distractions, in the endless pursuit of external validation. You have found the one thing you have been searching for your entire life, and it was inside you all along. This is the great gift that this emotional phase is offering you, Pisces. Not a new life, but a new relationship with the life you already have. Not a different self, but a deeper, warmer, more compassionate relationship with the self you already are. Not escape from the world, but a way of being in the world that honors both its beauty and its pain without being overwhelmed by either. 10 signs, each pointing in the same direction, toward wholeness, toward peace, toward the kind of emotional freedom that makes every remaining day of your life richer than the one before. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are.